basics of football. A lot of people think it's pretty hard. Heck, I think it's pretty hard sometimes. But in reality, we're going to learn 3 things that make football what they are for the basics of this episode. We've got rectangles, numbers, and legs. And you may be wondering, Jeremiah, how does that explain everything about football? I'm going to tell you. Starting with rectangles. We all love rectangles, right? There's a rectangle behind me with a picture. There's a rectangle on your screen because you're watching this on YouTube. There's so many things about rectangles, but the most interesting thing about a rectangle in a football game is that is the shape that all the gameplay happens on. Then within that rectangle, you have a big, large space with hash marks. That's called your field of play. And on each end, there is an incredible, colorful array that is sprinkled upon a smaller rectangle on each end. Those are called the end zones. And you may be wondering, why are end zones important? Well, they're important because when you get there, you can score. Scoring is the key to winning games. Now, of course, it's not the only way to score, but rectangles are so awesome because it's the way you can score the most points when you get there. If you get to the end zone, the other side of the field, you get 6 points and an opportunity for 1 or 2 more points. It's pretty cool. Now, there are challenges to getting there. And that goes to our next point. Numbers. Numbers, I know what you're thinking. Do we have to do anything with fractions? Not yet. Not yet. But numbers are really important in football because you may think that football is as simple as nothing because you think it's extremely hard. But if you know the numbers 3, 4, and 6, and 10, those are 4 numbers. If you know those numbers, you will know everything you need to know about football in order to watch it. 10 is the first number we'll talk about. 10 is the number of yards that a team must go past every 4 plays to maintain their possession on the field. This is really important because in a football field, there is 100 yards from one end zone to the other. No matter where you're starting, you want to continue to the end zone, right? Well, you have to get through 4 plays, 10 yards. Now, the fun part of that is that, well, let's say you don't do it. You fail epically. You cannot get 10 yards in 4 plays. Well, then your possession turns over at that exact spot on the field to the other team. Despite what you may or may not know about football, 2 teams going these directions toward the other end zone, if let's say you're right here, and the team stops you in 4 plays and they start this close to the end zone to get 6 points, that's pretty bad. You don't want that. So instead, you have an option where you can say, we've done this 3 times, we don't feel it. On the 4th, what if we kick it as far away from our part of the field to the other part? Well, that's exactly what a lot of teams do in almost a good chunk of situations, unless the 4th try is close enough for them. We'll get into that later. So when you want to do that, you go, okay, guys, let's get our big-legged genius out here to kick it as far away from us as possible, from our end zone. And that person is called the punter, which goes into legs. Legs are important in football. They are the most underrated 2 players that I'm about to talk about. One is the punter, like I just mentioned. They make sure that your team is still smiling after an awful series of trying to get 10 yards in a portion of their series. They are the people that save games before you think they even saved a game. They're the people that set up your oppositional force to their attempt to get into your end zone. They're huge. They're amazing. And their job is to make sure that once you get through that fourth try, the other team starts as close to their own end zone as possible. Now, there is one other big leg person I have not mentioned yet. And that is the field goal kicker. Field goal kickers do amazing things with their strategy. Their strategy is to kick a football through 2 yellow poles. And if they can do that, your team gets 3 points. Has to be where your team is, though. And the crazy thing is, some of the best kickers can do this from 50 yards, 60 yards away from those poles, which is unbelievable. Think about when you're watching a game and you watch these kicks happen. What do you think? Oh, it's just a regular routine. But in reality, that person is kicking a projectile force that is not a circle, 50 yards away. In comparison, a human, if they are relatively decent sized male, is about 60 something inches. That's about 2 yards ish. They're kicking the length of, let's see here, 25 adult regular sized males worth of distance of a ball that is not shaped like a circle. In most conditions, windy projectile areas to kick a ball through the 2 hoops. And the punter doesn't have it any better. They got to do that. Well, they have less protection. So, those are the 3 major things of football. Now, you're wondering, oh man, Jeremiah, this is so boring. This is so stupid. Why would I want to watch a football game? Well, based on what I told you already, what is funnier than watching a team try for 60 minutes to get a ball 10 yards and only do it like 5 times? It's pretty hilarious, unless you're a fan of that team. What is cooler? Being in a group of people that say things you understand, or going, punter's more important than that quarterback? Because I don't know what a quarterback is yet. And you would technically be right in some respects. So I want you to open your mind up, because it may look scary. It may look like a sport that you wouldn't want to be a part of. But if you liked hearing about big leg geniuses and crazy colorful rectangles and how the numbers apparently 10, 6, and 3 are the end all be alls, then you should continue to watch this video series. Now, of course, one other thing that I want to mention at the beginning of the video, I promised I would tell you why a touchdown. What are the things that a person can do, that a team can do to get more than just 6 points? Well, they get 2 options. One is they kick a field goal. A field goal is what I just mentioned before. It's the person that kicks the ball as far as it needs to go through the yellow hoops. But after touchdown, you do it from 25 yards out. That is the NFL standard for it. Now, it's pretty guaranteed, but it's not fully guaranteed. There's about a 90, 95 hit rate on those. The other thing you can do is get your big balls out, like me, Big Ball Jerry. That's my show. And you can try to get 2 points. Now, this is a little risky because you need your whole team to produce a play at about the 5-yard line, 5 yards from the end zone. and get it into the end zone for that oh so important score. Now, one more thing I want to mention before we go. Games are crazy because of these things. This is what every football game is based out of. Every video in this series, I talk about players and positions and teams and alliances. It all starts with rectangles, numbers, and of course, the big genius lords of legs that, of course, rule the NFL. I hope you all like this video. I hope you all subscribe, and I hope to see you next time.